I came to realize over years of fucking this up over and over again, going through 2 divorces, almost losing my children, still dealing with some of this stuff, guys. Like I let my trauma be the excuse for the person that I was wrecking my life and the people around me. And I had to look myself in the mirror, take ownership of that and say, you know what? I can change this. I can change the way that I think about this. And I'm not going to let any of that shit define me anymore, you know?
Right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back.
What's up?
Welcome back to the Zero Bunker, man. Dude, we are back for another episode. This thing is happening.
Oh, it's fucking happening, man. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that we actually upgraded. We got a table.
Yeah, actually, we also have some other cool tech shit that you can't see in the frame. But yeah, we're trying to up the quality right now, man.
This is one of those donation things, you know, 10 cents a day. We actually got a table. 10 cents a day for skull fuckers. Right,
man. Well, so hey, G, in this episode, man, something that I figured we could jump into, if you're cool with this, is we posted 2 episodes back. We had a whole deal on shell shock and PTSD,
right?
And one thing that I noticed from the comments and just the interaction is it seemed like that video really struck people a certain way, and we got a lot of people basically kind of reaching out through that. And I thought maybe we should double down and kind of talk about that topic a little bit more, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, first off, like you mentioned, we've got a lot of great feedback, and keep it coming, because you know we built this for you. We're just 2 guys trying to do something that we believe in and have passion in. And one of the main things that we want to use this platform for is to encourage people to do better in life. It's to learn from the lessons and the fuck ups that we did coming out of the military and going through all different scenarios in life, whether it's, you know, divorces and jail time and whatever.
I've had a couple of those. Divorces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know, and again, I mean, this is, like I said, it's a you know, it's a learning experience at the end of the day. We're here to have fun. I mean, we had our guests in the last episode, and that was a blast to do, you know?
Yeah, if you guys did not see our last episode, we had 3 amazing guests on, basically former military guys that are now in a rock band.
Yep.
And just an amazing episode, some awesome guys. Y'all go check that out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But kind of getting back to your point, so this is, I wouldn't say it's a dark episode. I'd say it's a real episode, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we're definitely, we're going to be taking a serious note, and that's not uncommon with Zero Foxtrot or Zero Bunker, but, you know, we bullshit and fuck around a lot, and the truth of the matter is this is, anytime it comes to post-traumatic stress and these kind of, like, I know we personally have felt some of this, and it's serious. It hits home, and so it's definitely going to be a serious episode.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, so the example that I actually wanted to talk about is a World War II veteran, and a lot of you guys probably don't even know him. And there's a meaning behind all of this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So the gentleman that we're talking about, his name is Robert Evan Brown Jr., also known as Bobbie. And he was born in Georgia. He enlisted in the Army at the age of 15, believe that.
Wow.
15, 1922. So when the war broke out, he saw action in North Africa with the 2nd Armored Division. He was given a battlefield commission after that. And in 1944, he led his platoon into Omaha Beach during the D-Day landings. And he fought all the way across France. I mean, this guy had a hell of a time dragging his balls halfway across some continents, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So on October 8th, 1944, his company had orders to attack Hill 239, which was in Germany, also known as Crucifix Hill. The hill was heavily fortified with 43 pillboxes and bunkers. So Brown was tasked with destroying 7 of them. They commenced the attack and only made it to 150 yards before being pinned down by heavy fire. Brown crawled up to the first 2 bunkers and took them out with a satchel charge. When Brown ran down the hill to get more explosives, his sergeant told him, "Hey, there's a bullet holes in your canteen." He had been hit in the hip and was bleeding profusely. Obviously, the wounds didn't stop him, so he crawled back up and went towards the most fortified bunker manned by 45 Germans and 6 feet of concrete walls and a rotating 88 cannon. Once on the bunker, Brown saw a German entering a steel door in the side, and Brown was an ex-boxer, so he knocked him out with one swing and threw him inside, and then threw 2 satchel charges and ran, destroying the bunker. Brown personally led his men on a path of destruction through the rest of their assignments, and after an hour of hard fighting, Crucifix Hill was reduced to a smoking rubble, and for his actions, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. Now, this is where it kind of gets crazy, and it kind of breaks away a lot of the disillusions that people have about World War II veterans. So after serving 30 years, earning a Medal of Honor, 2 Silver Star, a Bronze Star, and a Purple Heart, he retired in 1952. Brown had troubles adjusting to civilian life, unable to find a good civilian job, and here it is. He became a janitor at West Point. That's right, the fucking military academy up in New York. And after a long battle of unhappy memories of combat and in constant pain of war-related injuries, he committed suicide on November 12, 1971, and he is buried in Section 46, Site 1021-17 of the Arlington National Cemetery. So,
man, you know, it's and again, you know, this is we want everybody to understand. Again, this is a very serious topic. This is something that is incredibly you know, personal for us and so many of you guys out there. And to hear a story like that, I mean, we're talking about a Medal of Honor winner, a guy that just one of the most you know, heroic human beings to ever walk this planet, and you know, found him in such a psychological distress that he took his own life, and that is just incredibly heartbreaking.
Right, exactly. So now we quarter back to, you know, to the present day, and you know, I know we talked about PTSD and shell shock and combat fatigue and all that good stuff, but this is just one of the prime examples that people think that when, you know, World War II guys, they got back from the war, they literally just picked up and moved on. And that's what they want you to think. But in a lot of cases, it wasn't like that. I mean, because you got to understand, you know, during those days, and I know we mentioned this in a couple episodes, the people didn't understand the psychological effects of being in combat, especially when you're, you know, 2-3 years of constant fighting. And, yes, they had the VA, you know, but they had the support of the people. They had the support of the government in large ways. But on an emotional aspect, they just kind of shut it all down and moved on. You know, one World War II veteran that we're actually hopefully get to see in the next couple of weeks, he fought on Iwo Jima, and he didn't start talking about this stuff until literally 2 years ago. Yeah. You know? So what is the mechanism here of burying everything deep down? Is there anything positive that comes out of it? I don't think so. You know, man, I can only speak from personal experience, but something that I know personally, I feel like I went through, and something I think in a way caught me off guard when you know, when we got back from our deployment. You know, this was several years back. It was 2006 for me, and there were some guys that relatively immediately you could tell were struggling with things. You know, we had people that had, you know, alcoholism issues and you know, marital issues, and just the slew of it, all the things that are associated with this kind of issue. Now with me, I honestly didn't notice a lot. I went into the civilian world. I felt like, I mean, I went and started a career in a business, and in a way, I remember thinking like, you know, hey man, I'm fine. I'm so lucky that I'm okay. But it wasn't until years later, like subconsciously, I was holding on to something that I didn't even know was there. It's kind of like building a brick wall, right?
Yeah, and you know, it was the most unknowing thing, and it took some very traumatic instances in my life to really, you know, break down that wall enough to where it started peeking through. And when it started peeking through, I started understanding how bad that was. And I didn't know. And it makes you wonder how many guys, you know, that's the truth, that it's not just, you know, a conscious, like, you know, man, I've got problems, but it's something that's like a hiding back in there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, you kind of learn to. I mean, if you look at the psychology of being in combat, what do we get trained? Me spending a lot of years in the infantry, it's looking back, it's kind of like you have to literally shut off all the feelings. You have to shut off all like the mechanism of essentially being human in a way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because that's what you have to do to survive. That's just war, man. It is. But it doesn't replicate when you get out of civilian life. And you feel like if you show any kind of emotions or feelings, and now we've talked about this a lot in the other episodes, the whole hard fuck / bitch mode or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's we're all humans, man. You know what I mean? And there are people that have found a way of dealing with it, maybe not in a healthy way, because I believe dealing with it is facing it. It's not running away from it. It's not avoiding it. It's not pretending it's not there, because it just builds up, man. That's just the way. Here's an interesting thought, man. In the wild, I'm talking about like animals and shit. Mm-hmm. If you look at zebras, okay, or antelopes, or those types of animals, when they get chased down by a lion or something, like the fight or flight kicks in, right? They're running for their lives. But if you ever look closely, you can look it up on YouTube, when the whole thing is done, you'll see these animals, those start like trembling, like shaking.
Yeah, like there's an after effect. There's a cost. There's a cost for what that was. Right.
So it's literally their nervous system dumping the rush, right? We don't do that.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of going to sound crazy. If anybody have you ever heard those stories of like, crazy human physical feats? Like a guy, there was one where a guy was, there was like a boulder that fell on him and he was sliding down a mountain, and to save his own life, he was able to pick it up and throw it off of him. Like it was like 1,000 pounds. This is a regular guy. And you hear about like moms picking up a car off a child or something, these crazy like superhuman feats.
Yeah, the adrenaline rush going through.
But what nobody ever talks about is that after those, their bodies are destroyed, their tendons are ripped, they're in full body casts. Like those safety mechanisms are there for a reason, and it makes you wonder if the brain is a crazy mess of things, and going through certain things that combat veterans will go through. At what point are you stuck in that adrenaline side of the brain for too long, and eventually it's got to be dealt with.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, in combat, even though you don't notice it, you're always on a state of alert, right? Because the brain knows that you're in danger. It knows that shit can happen at any corner. I mean, we both served in Iraq, and for those of you who have actually been there, and Afghanistan and everything else. I mean, it's like shit can happen at any minute. There's no battle. It's not like saying, hey, we're at the front. Shit can happen any day, any time, any place. You can be taking a shit and a mortar round just fucking comes flying off and blows you up while you're beating off and shit. You know what I mean? Or you could be handing kids to, I remember we used to call it the 3-block rule, right? So one block you could be handing out candy, another block you could be doing nothing, another block you can get into a massive firefight, and then and I have a helmet cat footage of and the only reason why I'm bringing this up is just to show the because here's the thing: there's a lot of people that are not military who watch this, and I feel that sometimes we have to kind of get in depth in certain things so they can kind of understand. Yeah. So going back, I have a helmet cam footage. We got into a firefight, and it was, we were just not doing anything. It was just a normal day like any other, and then all hell breaks loose, and 5 minutes later, it's all quiet again, right? So of course, your brain and your body's like, well, shit, I'm going to keep it at my adrenaline at fucking 200% at all the time because it can pop off any minute.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm curious, G. I would love to get your feedback because first of all, I'm not going to pretend to have it all figured out and shit. I still
all you got to do is just bend over, bro. That's that's all you got to do.
I'm still dealing with certain things that have, kind of come up along the way through different past experiences. And I wanted to say this too, before I get to, cause I want to get your thoughts on tools and things that we can do to mitigate this. But
sure.
I wanted to make this point, and you'll hear us say this quite often, that yes, we are talking about things that military veterans typically struggle with, but the truth is, guys, is that post-traumatic stress is not independent to war veterans.
Right.
And I can tell you, as somebody that has gone through divorces and had trouble with custody battles with my kids, some of the biggest traumatic instances in my life weren't always on the front lines, and those are things that carry with you just as much, you know. So I you know, just want to let everybody know, if you're a civilian out there, somebody that went through, there are so many other hard things that can cause some of these things. So we're speaking to everybody, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a good thing that you mentioned that, because it is true. I mean, whether you've been, you know, any traumatic experience that you've been through in life, man, it doesn't have to be necessarily combat. It can be any. I mean, you could survive a fucking plane crash, or you can, you know, abuse and rape. There are just so many things.
Fuck, dude, life is combat.
For real, yeah. And you know what it is? I mean, the tools that, you know, here's the thing, man. We don't have it figured out. There just isn't, right?
Yeah.
But through experience and through a lot of the learning process in life, we feel that hopefully we can give something back that, you know, maybe one of you guys is watching this right now, or is going to watch this fucking 3 years from now. Because I know when I was going through a lot of my dark times, my biggest issue is that I didn't have guidance. You know, I didn't have a YouTube video that I'm like, how to deal with this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or how to do this, right? I mean, you can find fucking cooking shows and shit, but you can never find a video that tells you, or something that tells you collectively, how do you deal with this? And you know what? And it may not work for you. I've tried thousands of different things, and none of them worked. And then like the 1001 worked. And everybody's different. You know, it's like working out or doing other things. So you got to find, what you got to take out of this is to not be closed-minded about solutions.
Yeah, and not be too, you know, look, this is going to sound bad, because this is not to take away from anybody's personal experience or your strength or anything like that. But guys, you got to bring your pride down enough to be willing to accept a flaw that might be there.
Sure.
And I can't tell you how many tough guys, you know, I've run into in different scenarios in life that wall, that kind of ego right there keeps them from being able to grow and better themselves. And it's sad. I don't say that to be shitty, like, oh, you know, you're egotistical. Not like that at all. It's that I understand like what it's like to have your fists up. You know what I mean? Because that's what it took to survive in combat, man. You had to have your fists up, because just in case. But the truth is, you keep your fists up like that, and you're going to be battling your whole fucking life. And you know, it's going to take setting them down and putting some faith in some of these things. You know, and so G, give me like one of the biggest tools that you implemented that you think really brought you some level of peace, man?
Wow. I would have to say, and this is something I'm still working on, but because I'm still working on it, I believe that if I can achieve this, it's kind of like a domino effect, in my opinion. Finding balance. Those are like the two key words, okay? And you may be like, oh, that's some fucking yoga shit, or it is, but finding balance, it is. It ain't some hippie bullshit. It's something that everybody needs to have. You have to find balance, and having balance means, you know, finding happiness into what you enjoy doing. Now, you know, the meaning of happiness, it's different for everybody else. You know what I mean? You get guys that, you know, whatever, they want to, I don't know, go walk on the fucking beach or some shit. And then you get guys that love to drive fast cars. And you know, everybody has a different meaning of happiness. And sometimes I feel that we have been, you know, society just kind of like normalizes that for us, and it shouldn't be that way. So that's one thing. But finding balance literally means to really look deep down in yourself. And one of the problems that I've had, and I still struggle to this day, and one of the reasons why I always have to stay busy is because I don't want to face a lot of the things, you know what I mean? But then when I do face them, and I realize, man, they're not that fucking bad. You know what I mean? So you're kind of running away from yourself. You're always going to carry yourself. It's not a backpack you can just fucking dump, you know, on the side of the road and move on. You carry that shit with you, and if you don't know how to deal with it, it just piles up, and then you wonder why marriages fucking fail. Well, a lot of marriages fail because of, you know, fucking cheating ass wives. No, don't put that
or husbands.
Or husbands. you know, it's not like having a rucksack and you just dump it on the side of the road. You have to carry that load, man. So the question is, how do you deal with that? What do you do with it? So things that I do is to actually, and this is something you guys can actually look up. It's called mindfulness. And again, people thinking it's some hippie bullshit, but believe me when I tell you, mindfulness literally just means that you're aware of what's happening. And with all the social media and all the phones and all the crazy shit and the stresses, we completely forget about what living in the moment is. You know what I mean? I look back when I was a kid, and I had a pretty good childhood. I'm proud of that. You know, we didn't have fucking phones, and we didn't have like all the crazy shit that's been. It was just literally just having fucking fun, using your imagination, being surrounded by good people, and enjoying those moments. And somehow I can remember those to the detail, but I can't fucking remember what I did 2 days ago. Why? Because I'm not there. You know what I mean? And when I started noticing that, I started to realize why everything in my life was fucking falling apart. Why I was, you know, constantly needed. I was like an adrenaline junkie. Why I was smoking and I was doing fucking all kinds of other shit and drinking and strippers and whatever the fuck ever. I needed a fucking outlet because I was literally running away from myself. And that happened for like years and years and years on end until they fucking came crashing down. So my biggest piece of advice is balance. Look at mindfulness. It literally takes fucking 5 minutes out of your day to do it. And you're going to look at it and read it and you got to think this is like the most basic, simple shit ever. But it works wonders if you keep an open mind to it. You know what I mean? And that's, again, and that's one thing that I know for a fact that it works for people if you keep an open mind and you actually do it, because it really helps you kind of like ground yourself and kind of like step back and be like, where the fuck am I? You know what I mean? Instead of being just in the shit all the time.
Yeah.
So what about you, man? I mean, you've been through a lot of shit, so you're obviously still here. You haven't fucking offed yourself. So
yeah. You know, guys, like I said, I'm first of all, when, you know, I got to say that, you know, and here at Zero Foxtrot or Zero Bunker, I've especially become aware of some amazing heroes in the past and some people that have really gone through some crazy shit. You know, having our guests on, I mean, having someone that was in Mogadishu and the things that I can't even begin to understand that, guys. So, you know, one thing that I am very grateful that, yes, I've been through some traumatic experiences. You know, we hit a lot of IEDs. We had people that were killed in our unit, and you know, I was lucky enough to come home. But you know, I think that the reality of what I've had to do is just understand that everything, and I mean fucking everything, is in my control as long as I change my perspective.
Right. Yep, on the money.
You know, I could look back and I could think of how bad I had it, and I could think of, you know, how this tragedy caused me to be this horrible person, or I can you know, just change my mindset that I'm going to find some sort of light in that and see some beauty behind that. And I think it's one of the hardest things in the world. You know, one thing, I don't know what you think about this. This is going to sound no homo here. All right. Or maybe all homo. Some of the Air Force are watching. You know, when people talk about love, all right, I want to think about this love.
Can we get the Beatles playing track in the back here?
When you really break that down, though, love, like what love actually is, it's not sexy. Like, it's not pretty. It's not fucking, like, it's dirty and raw and kind of like fucking harsh. And the truth is, in my opinion, I saw this video one time and it was all these people. They were standing there and there was like these silhouettes, man. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. You guys probably will reference it. And they flip these signs over and it says, I forgive you. And it's all these different people. And it says, I forgive you for wrecking your car into me. I forgive you for killing my dog. I forgive you for killing my daughter. Like, and it was all these people and they were saying, I forgive. And the message is that the truth is true love, like finding like true love, is to be able to take some of the most fucked up, horrifying scenarios and be able to find peace with them. And it's I know it's mind blowing because everybody the reason we live in a society of everybody getting offended is because the truth is everybody feels like they're owed for how upset they are. You know what I mean? Well, I went through this and this happened to me and this and that. Well, the truth is, there's a lot of, the world is fucked up. And I'm not going to take that away from you. Yeah, it is fucked up what you went through. But the truth is, you have the choice to be able to hold on to that and to let that consume you and be that black cloud, or you have the choice to somehow find the light in it. And, you know, I came to realize over years of fucking this up over and over again, going through 2 divorces, almost losing my children, still dealing with some of this stuff, guys. Like I let my trauma be the excuse for the person that I was wrecking my life and the people around me. And I had to look myself in the mirror, take ownership of that and say, you know what? I can change this. I can change the way that I think about this. And I'm not going to let any of that shit define me anymore, you know?
Right. Yeah. Wow. You know, I'm glad that you're sharing this. And this is, you know, for you guys that are listening or watching this, this is just a pride testament right here. I guarantee you, he probably wouldn't have said all this stuff 3 years ago, 2 years ago. No, you know what I mean? No. And I guarantee you right now, some of you are listening and watching, you're going through the same shit that maybe me and him went through. And you're like, I'm never going to say that shit. I'm not going to deal with that. And that's fine. You know, you have to, it's your life. And you cannot change the past. You know, the past can mold you, but you have control over how you're going to be molded into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one thing that I wanted to highlight too is that everybody also has different ways of, I wouldn't say dealing with it, but different ways that, here's a topic. This is what I want to get into real quick now that I'm getting into it. So a problem that a lot of people that I was close with had was they could not recognize the signs. That was a massive one. So
that's self-awareness, right? Like just recognizing what the fuck is going on with you and what's around you, right?
Yeah, well, it's more like from the outside perspective of, you know, let's say you have a wife or a girlfriend or your parents or your friends or whatever it is, and they think, man, that guy's just a fucking asshole, right?
Yeah.
But they maybe don't realize, and it's not their fault because they're not realizing, even though I, for one, used to blame entire society because nobody understood me, but then I realized that I wasn't making it clear, and I wasn't. I was expecting people to understand me when, at the end of the day, like I was keeping everything in. But point being is, when understanding the signs could be as easily as, if you think the guy's an asshole, well, really ask yourself: is he an asshole? Is it because maybe that's just the way he's letting things out, or maybe because he doesn't know how to talk, you know, about his experiences or what's going on in his mind? So instead of approaching it and saying, man, you're such a fucking asshole, why don't you say, hey, man, like, you need to talk? Like, what's wrong, man? What's going on? Like, talk to me, right? Even like, you know, my parents was the same way, and God bless them. They didn't know how to reach out to me. But I don't blame them for it. I never given an opportunity to do it. My wife was the same way. So recognizing the signs, and then you're asking, where are the signs? Well, I don't think there's like defined signs, but if you see like mood swings, if you see the guy's depressed, if you see the guy that's pissed off, if you see the guy that's, I don't know, just doing random shit that you feel it's abnormal, dude, it's completely normal to fucking ask, hey man, like, how you doing, man? Are you all right? You know, take your time. If you really care about the person, take your time to reach out if you need to.
Can I, I want to give this example, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know, I mean, obviously you were a part of this example, and hopefully you're okay with me saying this. But so when G and I met each other, it was at the gym, and
that was okay. The place was the gym. We met online prior to that.
It was he responded to a Craigslist ad at the gym.
We were beating off the MREs and shit. So
well, so G, so a little bit of background on me. I've been a personal trainer my entire adult life. I've been in the fitness industry. I owned a gym here in North Austin, Pflugerville, and I basically, you know, and this is crazy how full circle all this shit goes, guys.
Yeah.
I went through, over the last 2 years, the hardest time of my life, and I reached the pinnacle of any sort of traumatic stress, things that I dealt with. I reached what I felt like to be just the hardest moments in my life. And like I said, I was fighting for my kids, and you know, there's a horrible divorce, and it just everything was just seemingly falling apart, and I couldn't get it together. In that moment, I decided I need to cleanse. I need a life change. And I made the decision that I sold my gym to my business partner. I like literally just kind of like flushed my life in a way. And I wasn't even like looking to train anybody. I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. So one day G walks into the gym. I have no intention. Everybody around you could tell you I have no intention of working with another client. That was not on my mind. And, you know, we get to talking just for a second, and he tells me, you know, he's a Marine Corps veteran, and, you know, basically just starts sharing a little bit with me. And there was a connection there. It's something that I felt like in that moment, recognizing the signs, it is important that I continue this conversation and I invest into this situation. And we must have talked for over an hour that day.
Right. Yeah.
And we ended up working out together. I was training with G, and now we're doing this and everything. But like both of us being in a tough moment and recognizing that with one another is kind of crazy how this whole thing fucking started, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, man. I mean, I think that anybody else maybe wouldn't have, if I was approached in a different way, or maybe the conversation would have went in a different direction. I don't think I would have been like, never mind, fuck it, like this ain't gonna work, you know. And the truth of the matter is that encounter and me getting back to the gym, which was something that it always kept me in line. It always, it was a stress reliever for me, you know, even though it doesn't look like it. And I was going through some dark times, and I quit for about 2 years, and I was a complete mess. I mean, so when I decided to man the fuck up and say, you know what, I'm going to start going back to the gym. I need to put away all my fears. And that's like an entire different conversation here. But walked in, and the very first thing that I saw was the American flag in that gym. And I believe there was a Marine Corps flag on there. And the first thing I said, I was like, oh shit, it's like, you know, when Marine runs it. And then there were other trainers there, and CJ was like the first one that came up to me, and the very first thing that I noticed was his, KIA bracelet. So obviously we clicked up on that, and just the similarities of it is that he served, right around the, we served around the same times, and so we just kind of hit it off, and then I, just kind of opened up. I'm like, dude, this is what my issues are. This is the reason why I want to get back to the gym. And they were like valid shit. It wasn't, what most people think you're going back to the gym for. My thing was more of like, I need to get my mind right here.
And well, he wanted to get some pussy too.
Yeah, that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Tag his religion, man.
ZeroFoxTribe.com.
Dude, we still have those fucking stickers in stocks, man. So y'all need to jump on that shit, man. But yeah, dude. You know what? At the end of the day, it helped me. It kind of put another check mark in the box, saying, hey, I was able to break out of my shell, but I had to do that on my own. That's another thing too. Like you can drive yourself to the gym. Fucking people can teach you how to do it right. And I mean, when I mean the gym, I'm talking about it just as an example, but you got to be there. You're the one who's have to lift the weights.
Yeah.
And this kind of brings into the whole having the support system and the support network, which I think is fucking huge, because yes, I run a very successful company, and I'm blessed for that. I've also been around, surrounded lately with some fucking awesome people, but it has been, all of that it built that support network. Then when I moved here to Texas in the very beginning, I did not have. In fact, I was craving it so much that I literally left the little support that I had to move out here for something that I thought was going to be, I moved out here to Texas because I thought it was, I found my, I found like a new chance of living, and then that was like a complete fucking disappointment. So next thing you know, I fucking sunk even lower. Yeah. But out of nothing, when I moved here to Texas, I didn't have a fucking thing, nothing. It was just me and my wife. And I remember when we first moved into our very first apartment, which I barely had any money to even get into, because fucking rent here in Austin is goddamn expensive.
Oh yeah.
I never forget this, man. And we didn't even have furniture. Like me and her were literally eating on the fucking floor because we couldn't even afford chairs.
You are a classy motherfucker, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Like, you know what I mean? And you know, God bless my wife for this shit, man. You know, but she stuck it out.
Dude, that is. Let me tell you something. That fucking means something. Hey, the people that are in your life in those times, man. Like, you know, I will tell you what, that's huge.
Yeah, and you know, she stuck around for that, and she stuck around, you know, way before that. You know, there was an instance where I was completely fucking broke, and I was literally standing on the sidewalk and just had my luggages to get to the airport and shit, and she stuck by me the whole time. And I mean, I had like nothing. You know, I was literally, it was me and luggages, and that was all I had, was my fucking humanity, and that was it, man. And she stuck it out for me. So
yeah, and you barely have any of that. Well,
it all got washed away, man.
You know, here's the thing, guys, is what I wanted to say was, if there's anybody out there that's struggling, because
if you hear this, you are the resistance.
Yeah, you are the resistance. I can tell you right now that if you feel in this moment like you're at the worst, right? You're at the rock bottom. You feel like that is. I want you to remember that there are people out. You are not the only person that has ever felt that way.
Right.
You're not by yourself. You know, I went through my own rock bottom, and who knows, maybe shit will even get worse one day. And mine wasn't even close to some of the guys next to me, and so on and so forth. And I had to come to the realization when I was at my worst that I have the choice to decide that this is not my worst.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to explain it any better, guys, but like when you are struggling, you're making a choice in your mind to allow that struggle to be so heavy, and you can change that. You know, and I know that sounds like some hippy dippy shit, but you can change. You can view your situation. I don't care if you're in prison. I don't care if you're missing arms and legs. If you're, you know, if you lost your kids, if you went through a crazy divorce, the love of your life cheated on you. I mean, guys, you are absolutely in control with everything that goes on, because your reality is your perspective. You are painting your own picture every day.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that was just spot on. And I mean, you know, don't give up on yourselves, man. You know what I mean? And here's one thing, when you hit rock bottom, guess what? The only way to go is up. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you think you haven't hit your low yet, well, hey man, once you do hit it, trust me, the only way to go is up. That's it. You know? And take it from from us that have been through those rock bottoms. I'm sure there'll be plenty down the fucking road, but you know what the difference is? We're not here to resolve all the problems. We're not here saying that, hey, you do these steps, or you do what, you know, you apply what we just told you. Yeah. That's gonna fix everything. That's going to make sure like no bad things are gonna fucking happen to you. No, you're always gonna have things that are gonna happen, man. The difference is how you're going to handle it, and how is that going to impact you and your life and being happy. So if you notice, it's like this whole trend, right? You know, having balance and being happy and you know, learning about yourself at the end of the day. Don't fuck what everybody else says. Fuck what, you know, when I mean what everybody else, I'm talking about like on a negative side. You know what I mean? Like, you don't bring negativity to your fucking life, dude. If you already got enough of it, why are you going to let somebody else add to that? You know, you need people that add positivity to your motherfucking life, because that's what you need.
Yeah. And you know what, guys, like, so I wanted to say something about the happiness thing, because, you know, happiness is an interesting concept to me. So, and I want you to think that this is also not exclusive to happiness. I want to say anger, you know, sadness, happiness, depression, all of this. Here's the deal. We for some reason have this idea that, you know, we're chasing happiness. Like, oh, well, once I'm here, or once I do this or that, then I'm going to be happy. Guys, the reality is, what is going to finally make you happy is going to be when you make the decision to be happy.
Sure.
Fact of the matter is, you know, somebody wrecking into you with their car, you know what? That is uncontrollable. How you respond to that situation is completely fucking controllable. And so, is there chaos in the world? Abso-fucking-lutely. But what's amazing to me is to see motherfuckers that seem to be in the worst, I mean the worst situations, and they got a big fucking smile on their face.
That's right.
That is amazing to me. And so that just goes to show that we have the choice to smile or frown or get pissed off or whatever. And so you want to be happy, decide to be happy.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, man. And you know what? And some of you guys might comment like this some fluffy snowflake shit or whatever the fuck ever, dude. You know what? At the end of the day, if this helps one person, if we wouldn't say it, you know, we wouldn't say this shit if it, you know, didn't happen or didn't work, you know what I mean? And if it doesn't work for you, then keep looking. And if it works, fucking great, and let us know. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
And you know what, guys? Like, let me tell you something. Like, yeah, Zero Foxtrot, Zero Bunker. You know, we have all intentions of having some of the most hard ass motherfuckers on here for guests to do stories about some of the most alpha motherfuckers on the planet.
But they'll tell you too, man. They'll tell you the same shit that.
Exactly, dude. I was just talking to Alex today, man. You guys might eventually meet our friend Alex, who's a personal trainer as well. Actually, trains with G now.
He's slaving somewhere.
He's slaving. He told me, so he's a civilian. He's never been in the military, and he said, listening to our podcast, he said, man, it's amazing when you hear like the real, I mean, the guys that really went through some shit. Mm-hmm. It's not what you think. It's not the guys bragging about like how fucking badass, or it's not the guys that are complaining about shit. It's guys that have such a good positive perspective on shit. You know what I mean?
It's guys who win battles we know nothing about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. I think that the fact of the matter is being truly alpha means something different than I think what people want to make it out to be. I think being truly alpha is having these snowflake fucking conversations, guys, and you will find.
I wouldn't tag the word snowflake here because that's extreme. I think let's put it. I think
we can't hashtag that on this.
No, fuck no, dude. It would just bring a whole reputation down, man.
Oh,
like,
God,
kidding me?
Okay,
but I will say you can
it
hashtag
is on YouTube though.
You can do. What I can say is you can hashtag fucking reality.
Okay.
Hashtag that shit.
Yeah. Hashtag fucking reality.
You know, like Barnes, you know, from Platoon, right? I am reality.
All right, man. Well, man, you want to wrap this thing up, dude?
Yeah, man. Wrap it up like a condom.
Always another good piece of advice, by the way.
And there's this is one safety brief that I wanted to say, okay? I know today's Friday. I know some of you guys are going to go out there and get tanked, and rightfully so. And like my first sergeant used to say, the 3 Ds. Don't drink and drive, don't do drugs, and don't do dudes.
Ah, nice. What hashtag is that? The three
Ds.
3 Ds. All right, guys. Hey, well, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you're new here, do me a huge favor. Consider subscribing, or, you know, whatever you do on iTunes, or stick around our Google Tunes, or where the fuck you're listening to this. Just, you know, consider hanging around, because we've got episodes every single week, and then we're also going to be doing snippets of these episodes throughout the week as well. So you guys can expect several videos and pieces of content throughout the week. That's it, guys.
Yeah, man. And very last thing, I know some of you guys are probably mugging these fucking mugs right here. So these are here from zerofoxtrot.com, handmade in the USA. This is actually the Honor Stein. That's the hate mug. So you want to drink out of a proper fucking chalice, drink your favorite blood type, get one of our mugs, and we'll see you next time.
Links down below in the description, guys. We'll talk later.
Peace.